Alright, so welcome back everybody. So for this video I'm going to be talking about the new cards that come in the Woodlands Edge expansion. Now if I haven't mentioned it already, you can play the new cards on Board Game Arena if you're playing Forest Shuffle, obviously, on Board Game Arena. But if you don't play Board Game Arena, but you still want to know what the new cards look like, want to see what the new cards look like and want to know how they work, then this video is definitely for you. Also, if you're still learning, if you're playing on Board Game Arena and you're still trying to master the cards, then maybe this video will also be helpful. We'll probably talk about only the cards that I haven't talked about in the previous videos. So if you see me skipping a card, it means I already talked about it in great detail in my previous videos. So go watch those. But this video will be talking about the ones that I haven't talked about. Now, the thing about this expansion, so let's talk about some of the things about this expansion. It adds shrubs. So I'm going to explain how shrubs work in this video anyways, even though I explained it in most of the other videos. So the way shrubs work is they're basically trees in this game. So if you play a shrub, you can play animals and plants on the left, or I guess mushrooms too, right? Left, right, top, and bottom. You can still, just like a tree would, you can play cards around the shrub. Now, shrubs do not give you victory points. They do not give you victory points. Just like mushrooms, they don't give you victory points. But just like mushrooms, they give you everlasting abilities. Now, there's only 3 different shrubs in this game. The blackthorn is one of them, and it works with the butterfly strategy, okay? Then there's the elderberry that works with the plant strategy. And then, I forget what the third one is by offhand, but there's one that works with the bat strategy. So there's 3 different shrubs in this game that you could potentially play. And if you're going one of those 3 strategies, then you're going to want one of those shrubs for sure. Now, with that said, while this expansion strengthens greatly the butterfly strategy and strengthens greatly the bat strategy and strengthens the plant strategy, this expansion, it doesn't really strengthen the other strategies. So the paw strategy isn't going to be this expansion isn't super helpful with the paw strategy. It's not super helpful with the bird strategy, and it's definitely not helpful for the amphibian strategy because there are no amphibians in this expansion. So if you're going to go the amphibian route, this is the expansion you don't want to go with the amphibian strategy, most likely, because of that. But it also does not add any new trees. So while it adds 3 new types of, it adds these shrubs, which you can play as if they were trees, it does not add trees. So it's not going to be super helpful if you're going the big tree strategy or the oak tree strategy for that matter. Still though, it does add some new cards that are birds and that are insects and that are pod animals, and it does potentially strengthen some of the weaker strategies a little bit as well, if they were even considered strategies. Now with this expansion they are. So let me talk about some of those cards. So I'm going to skip that one. Let's just skip that one. So this is one of the new cards. So this is a wild boar. You're going to say, oh, but the wild boars were in the base game. Yes, but this is a female, or a mother, if you will. Okay, so this is a female wild boar. It even has the female symbol there. So what is really fascinating about this card is what it says down here at the bottom. It gives you 10 points for every squeaker you have, not just one squeaker. So if you had 3 squeakers, this female, this mother, would give you 30 points. That's a lot of points. So now, hey, most of us skip the squeakers and the wild boars because you're not getting very many points from them, and the squeakers don't give you very many points. But now you've got a reason to go this route because of that fact. Because now you've got a card that can just continuously score you multiple points based on the amount of squeakers you have. So that's amazing. And not only that, but if you satisfy its binocular ability, you get to play a squeaker for free at the same time. That's awesome. But there is one disadvantage to this card. When you play this card, it's going to remove all the cards in the clearing from the game. They do not go to your cave, okay? They are just gone for good. So if there's cards you want in the clearing and you play this, you've just discarded them all, just so you know. So watch out. But yes, that's one of the new cards with the expansion. And because this works with squeakers, there are about 3 or 4 more squeakers that come with the Woodland Edge expansion. So now there's 7 squeakers in total, I think. So, hey, you might want to go this strategy. You might want to include it in your game if you come across a female wild boar. Okay, so the bee swarm. We only briefly talked about it in one of the videos, so we'll talk about it in this one. So this one's cheap to play, so that's nice, right? One thing I'll note is there's another type of icon on these cards. You notice this icon here? It's the edge icon, the forest edge icon or woodland edge icon. So just make note of that's a new icon, and there's one of the cards that will score you points based on the amount of those you have. And the new squeakers also have them too. Not the old ones, obviously, not the base game squeakers, but the new squeakers, they will have those icons as well. Anyways, so the bee swarm here is you get to put the following cards from the clearing in your cave: plants, shrubs, and trees. Now, if you've played this game many times, you'll note that the clearing is usually full of trees, okay? It just seems like no one wants the trees because they already have tons of trees and they don't need the trees, right? And so it's just usually chock-a-block full of trees. And let's say there was a plant in there too and nobody was going for it, you know, and let's say there was also a shrub in there, but I don't have any physical shrubs since this isn't available physically yet. But let's just say that that's the equation in our clearing. We have those cards in the clearing. Well, when you play the bee swarm, you get to put all of those cards that have those icons into your cave. So all of these would now just go into your cave, thanks to the bee swarm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cards. Now, if this was also in the clearing, it would not go into the clearing. It would not go into your cave because it does not have a plant on it. It's not a tree and it's not a shrub. So this would still be there, okay? But everything else would go into your cave that has those icons. So that's a lot of potential extra points with the bee swarm, plus your scoring points based on plants if you're going that strategy. But now, because of the bee swarm, players are going to be a little hesitant about letting all of these trees sit in the clearing. Because if somebody had the bee swarm, you're basically just helping them get a ton of points. So you're going to have to think twice now, and there's 3 of these bee swarms in the game. So it's potentially possible that a player has one in their hand, and they're going to be waiting for the other players to fill the clearing with trees and plants and shrubs potentially, and and they're going to be getting a ton of points very easily because the bee swarm only costs 1 card. This is way better than the grizzly bear or the brown bear. So so be careful what you're putting into the clearing now. You even have to be worrying about the trees in your clearing because of this bee swarm. But yeah, that's how the bee swarm is going to work. So that's awesome, right? So we already talked about this card, so we'll skip it. And we talked about this card, so we'll skip it. And we talked about this card, so okay, so these are the other 2 new shrubs. The elderberry and the common hazel is the one for the bat strategy. So these are the other 2 types of shrubs. Now, I've already talked about these quite a bit, so we'll continue on. And I also talked about this one quite a bit, so we'll skip that. And this one as well. Okay, here's one. So here we have the European Bison. So, hey, it's expensive, sure, but hey, you get an extra turn, so that's nice. And then it's going to score you 2 points for every icon you have of these. So for every beech tree, and for every oak tree, and for every other card that has those icons as well. So potentially you could have quite a few of those icons, and you could get some extra points for this bison. But if you're definitely playing those beech trees, because generally you need 4 of them, right? Unless you've got a carpenter bee to help you out, right? Generally you need at least 4. This European bison would be a nice addition to that strategy if you're playing a lot of those types of trees, that type there, right? So that's kind of the idea. And of course I don't just simply, oh, here we go. So yeah, this tree, okay? Beech tree, this one, okay? Cool. So yeah, if you're going that route, or even if you're going the oak tree strategy and you're trying to get all the different types of trees and you're potentially going to play a couple of different oak trees for that strategy, this strengthens that idea. So that's kind of nice. So you get an extra turn and some points based on those icons. Okay, so this one is unique. Okay, I've seen a lot of players make this mistake. So first of all, if you satisfy the binocular ability for the European Polecat, you get an extra turn. So that's nice. And then it gives you 10 points. But it only gives you 10 points if it's alone on a tree or shrub. So if you play this onto a tree or a shrub that already has something on it, even if it's a plant, this scores you 0 points. If you play this on a tree or shrub that's by itself, just the tree, and it's by itself, you get 10 points. But if you play something after the fact, so let's say I play the European Polecat and I play, oh, I don't know, this fly agaric onto the same tree, 0 points. So basically, you're going to want to make sure you're playing extra trees because this card has to be by itself. And it's only going to score you 10 points if it's on a shrub or tree. So saplings don't count. And there's a reason why saplings are so special in this game, this expansion. We'll talk about that one last. But if you have a sapling and you put the European Polecat onto this sapling, then you get 0 points. Okay? So make note of that. That's how the European Polecat will work. And yes, that's a paw animal. Okay, so here we have the Nightingale. So first of all, if you satisfy its binocular ability, you get an extra turn. And then it gives you 5 points if it's on a shrub. A tree is not a shrub. So if it's on this tree, 0 points. You have to get a shrub. So what are the shrubs? Well, it'd have to be on this one, or would have to be on this one, or it'd have to be on the shrub that's for the butterfly. And those are the only 3 shrubs it could be on, because those are the only shrubs in the game. So if you're going to go and play this bird and you want the points for it, make sure to play it on a shrub for 5 points. But hey, even if you don't want, if you don't care too much on the points because it's only 5 points, and you just want the free extra turn, it's still nice. But the Eurasian Jay would still be better because it still scores you points regardless, right? So yeah, that's how the Nightingale works. Okay, so here we have the European Wildcat, another paw animal. So while I said there isn't really a stronger strategy for paw animals here, that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't any more paw animals. This is the card that is going to score you 1 point for every woodland edge icon in your forest. So that's nice. But what's really cool is when you play it, you get to take a card from the clearing. So normally when you play a card that says draw a card, it's gonna be from the deck of cards. But the European Wildcat here lets you take a card from the clearing instead of your choice. So that can be quite useful. There's been many times where I had 10 cards in my hand and I couldn't draw cards, but there were cards in the clearing that I wanted, and I couldn't take any of them because of that factor, and then I was afraid my opponents would take them before my next turn. But if I had this guy, instead of drawing a card from the deck, I get to take one from the clearing after playing it. So hey, now I can get that card that I don't want my opponents to grab, and that is pretty nice. So that's how the European Wildcat will work, and so it definitely gives you some alternative ideas on what you can do. Okay, so here's another one that is also very similar to this one. This is the Eurasian Magpie, okay? You get to take 1 card from the clearing when you play it. That's nice. So that's another card that lets you take a card from the clearing, and it gives you a few points too. But what's cool is if you satisfy its binocular ability, which honestly is pretty easy to do, you also get to take 2 cards from the clearing and put them into your cave. So here's another card that lets you take cards from the clearing and put them into your cave. The bee swarm does it, this card does it, the raccoon does it, the grizzly bear or brown bear or whatever you call it, that does it, and then the bearded vulture from the Alpine expansion does it. So now there's 5 cards that let you take cards from the clearing and put them into your cave. So this strengthens, these 2 cards, the bee swarm and this card, strengthens the cave cave strategy a little bit. It's still not as strong as some of the other ones for sure, but it definitely will make the cave strategy a little bit more interesting. So that's how that one works. And we did talk about this briefly, but we'll talk about it again anyway. So this great green bush cricket, it's going to score you 1 point for every insect you have, which is nice. But it also lets you play a bird for free, which is even better because, you know, that stag beetle, you had to discard 2 cards and they had to be a particular type of color to satisfy the binocular ability. This one doesn't have that. You can just discard a card and you get to play a bird for free. That's amazing. So, hey, now I've got an alternative way of playing that goshawk for free, or that golden eagle for free, or any other potential bird that I'm going for free. Much cheaper, much easier, for sure. So that's cool. So that's the other new card. And then the last new card that comes with this expansion is the water vole. So if you satisfy its binocular ability, you get an extra turn. But this is what really makes this interesting. You can immediately play any number of cards from your hand as tree saplings. So if I had a bunch of cards in my hand, I could play them all on the same turn as saplings. Now, why would I want to do that? Normally, you can do that as a free option. If you don't have trees and you want to play something, so you can play other cards, you would. But this is a last resort, doing the sapling strategy. Or should I say, doing the sapling is a last resort. But with the water vole, it's not a last resort because it's based on the amount of cards in your hand, because you can play as many cards as you want from your hand as saplings. And so now, all of a sudden, I've got 5 cards that I can just put tons of animals and plants on because I did that. Yeah, sure, I'm not getting any victory points for playing these out, but it does have, this water vole does have some interesting ideas. Now, there was another interesting idea I had in mind. So let me find it. We got the deer here. Let me see if I can find another deer. Here's some more deer. You know, for those of us who hate the deer and wolf strategy, which I have to say is vastly weaker because of all the new strengths to the new strategies. I'd have to say the deer and wolf strategy is no longer the strongest strategy because of this expansion, the Woodlands Edge expansion. But you know, here's a wolf. Finally found one. So sometimes, if I don't want to go the deer and wolf strategy, okay, but I know my opponents are going to go that strategy, right? I don't want to be discarding them for other cards I want to be playing, so just so that they can take them. And sometimes the clearing is empty, or there's just not very many cards in it. And so you don't want to risk putting these into the clearing so your opponents can get them and play them. Because, you know, let's face it, most of us that don't go this strategy hate this strategy and are sick of losing to the deer and wolf strategy. But hey, the water vole gives us an alternative way of getting rid of these cards without giving them to our opponents. And that is, if we had this water vole, we could turn all of these cards into saplings. So now we don't have to worry about our opponents getting them. And hey, now we've got some cards here that we can play off of. It's a no-brainer. It's an amazing idea I had with the water vole. So those are all the new cards in the Woodlands Edge expansion. So like I said, if you wanted to see some of the other cards that I skipped, just watch the bat strategy video, the butterfly strategy video, and the plant strategy videos. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys again next time. Sorry, tongue twister. See you guys again next time. Bye.